Eric has a CISSP too, so he's legit. Just wanted everybody to know that.
Martin's a certified checkbox, so check.
All right, so thanks. Can y'all hear me all right? I'm pretty loud. All right, so thanks everybody for coming. What we're going to talk about today is some advanced phishing tactics. Basically, we want to talk about why, what we do on penetration tests when we do a phish, why it works, and why user awareness doesn't really work and should probably at the bottom of your list of priorities. Anyway, so basically this is what we're going to talk about, sort of an overview. We want to talk about what is spear phishing. It's one of those things where there's a ton of different definitions out there on the internet, and just depending on where you look is depending on the definition you get. And want to talk about how we do our spear phishing, and we want to talk about ways to mitigate it, of course, and why some of the current stuff isn't working. So I guess I can kind of skip this since Sam already introduced us, but there's my great introduction slide.
Header cap 05 drop, so get your copy on GitHub.
All right, so first thing I like to do is define what I'm talking about. So we want to talk about what is spear phishing really. So everybody knows what a phishing email is, right? Yes? Who in this room is the heir to the Prince of Nigeria currently? It's quite a few. Me too. It only cost me 10 G's. So basically, spear phishing is a targeted attack. Here's the definition that I like the best. Obviously, it's not set in stone, but this is the definition that I like because it's a targeted attack. It's somebody that's targeting a person, a company, a business unit, something specific, and they go out and they do their research. That means not sending an email that says, hey, you're an heir to the Prince of Nigeria. That means sending an email that makes sense to the business and the language of the business that, you know, that looks legit.
No, this is still me.
Oh, this is still me. All right, so we're going to talk about some current victims of spear phishing attacks. Anybody ever heard of the White House? So
that wasn't us, by the way.
So apparently they were the victims of a spear phishing attack. Unfortunately, you never know what really happened. But anyway, so these are some other big companies that are victims of spear phishing attacks. And I'm not going to harp on all of these and go over everything. But the thing is, the reason that I put this up is that, as far as I'm concerned, the #1 attack right now externally on the internet is spear phishing. You know, the past couple of years it's been web applications. Before that it was insecure services. But now we got, you know, firewalls and F5s and all kinds of things with blinky lights, and we got our perimeters secured really, really good. And so us as attackers, why would I waste my time going through all those defenses when I can just send an email to the organization? And unfortunately, based on some of these spear phishing hacks, this is still working, and it's working really well.
So why do we do spear phishing attacks against ourselves, right? Sun Tzu, know your enemy, know yourself. And if anybody can tell me a song associated with that and the band who sings it, I'll buy them a Hackers for Charity shirt. But basically, you know, why do we do spear phishing attack against ourselves? Well, #1, we as an organization, we need to know where we stand, right? What's going on? We need to make sure that the money that we're spending is being spent in the right place, not just blinky lights. We're talking about incident response. We're talking about the people that are actually implementing it, and the people who are reporting it, and making sure that everybody's on the same page. And basically, if you know where your weaknesses are, of course, you can hope to strengthen them.
All right, so every talk's got to have some statistics. And so these particular statistics come from Proofpoint. Did a survey at the last big Microsoft conference, and they surveyed 350, I think, very, very large, you know, organizations. And here's some of the statistics that came out of that. Basically, half of all the organizations that responded believe that in the past year their organization was targeted by a phishing email specifically designed to compromise their users. So that doesn't mean just some random fish that gets caught by your spam filter. That means a targeted email that was designed to get around spam filters. Basically, you know, among the organizations with 1,000 or more email users, more than half of the respondents, 56%, believe that their organizations were targeted. This is because the larger your organization, the more emails you have out there on the internet. We're getting ready to show you a couple of ways to data mine emails off the internet that are very, very simple and free, and any idiot can do it. And what happens is that the larger your organization is, the more Facebook posts you make, or the more whatever you do, the more emails are out there on the internet. And the more emails that are out there, the larger your attack surface is. And then it also said that more than 1/3 of the respondents reported experience in a phishing attack in the past year that they believe resulted in a compromise. So that's, you know, 1/3 of the 51% of people that knew they were the victims of a phishing email attack probably got compromised. That doesn't mean, you know, that's not even taking into account the other 20% that don't even know they got phished. This is me. Anyway, so I totally stole this slide from another guy's talk, but it was awesome. This is basically how the attack happens. And this is fairly, everybody kind of knows this, but this picture just kind of sums it up. Basically, you research and pinpoint the targets. The main part about a spear phishing attack is the research. You know, the actual attack is not that big of a deal. It's the research, and how good of research can you do on the people? How much information does your business have out there on the internet? I'll give you a perfect example. I was researching a business the other day, and I was doing an external pen test, and I found a bunch of posts that, you know, one of their engineers had made on the Cisco forums telling me, you know, he was asking questions about modifying his Cisco ASA firewall, and he posted the config. I mean, he said, I got the Cisco ASA firewall and I can't get it to do this or whatever. And then
who it's communicating with.
And then he used his business email address and posted the config, you know. So, like, I mean, people are making it easy. So basically, we deliver the email. Obviously, there's some type of malware. There'll be some type of information that we're after. We're going to gather that information and send it back out to ourselves.
So gathering email addresses for targets, it's always usually the first step, like Martin was saying. Basically, you're doing research, you're seeing what's out there. And yes, you can spear phish one person at an organization. One person is also considered a spear phishing target. You don't have to do everybody. But what we do is, of course, the more numbers that we have, the more likely, the more probable someone's going to click on the link. So basically, you want to gather your email addresses for the target. These are some of the tools that we use: Google, GooHost, Harvester is pretty good. We have custom scripts. LinkedIn is always a good place because there's so much information you can get from the job posts there on LinkedIn, right? Because then you're going to know what they're running, you know, what systems they have, maybe what AV they have in place, and all these different things kind of help us build a perfect targeted attack, what type of payloads we're going to use. If they're talking about web proxies and things like that, you know, we might use a different type of payload as far as egress filtering, you know, egress busting. So one of the main things too is after you build that list, you want to go through and remove everybody who you don't want to raise the red flag, right? So one of the things that we do is once we harvest it, we go through and we look and say, okay, this person has the word security in their title, so of course we're going to remove that person, or this one's a director, or this and that. Or there's definitely times where the customer is like, you can't target these people, right? Which is always the C-level people that are going to click on our link and give us full access to their network. So those always have to be removed. The best tool, well, I'm biased, so the best tool is the one at the bottom, which is Jigsaw. One of the guys on our team wrote a Ruby script. It's in Backtrack. It's out on GitHub called Jigsaw, where basically, who knows what Jigsaw is, by the way? The website Jigsaw. Okay, so basically what Jigsaw is it's a website for sharing business contacts.
Go ahead, keep explaining.
Okay.
I was going to get it going.
So basically, you have this website where if I meet you and you give me your business card, I just post it right up there on that site. So their API's broke and their website's broke. You're only supposed to be able to pay for the service and get a certain amount of contacts back. But basically, Royce on our team wrote this script that'll just go out and it'll pull every single contact down for you. It puts it in a nice CSV for you. It gives the titles, where they're at, you know, so you can target a specific geographic location even of the business. So,
So
we're using Humana, but
yeah. We're picking on Humana. If anybody works there, I'm really sorry. We just picked them out of a hat because it's a big corporation, and we didn't do anything to Humana. We didn't send them any emails. We didn't. This is all,
it's all passive.
Completely passive. They just got unlucky when we were choosing our target for this talk. You want to do the script?
Yeah.
Go
so
ahead.
basically, what we're looking at here is, as Martin just did a script for a check for Humana. You can see it here, and then it brings up the IDs over here. And then basically you can just do, put in the ID number, and we're going to pick the one, of course, with the most people listed.
So what he's doing here is basically, it shows us all the different Humanas that Jigsaw has. Of course, we're going to choose the one with, 1,800 employees. And so once we run this script, it'll make a really nice CSV file that Eric's going to show you.
Or it'll bomb out on us.
Oh.
Did you delete that other CSV?
Oh, you didn't give it a file name.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You didn't give it a flag.
Didn't. That's right. Sorry about that. So -R flag is a report. So here it's saying we searched all these, and these are the 3 different domains that came up. So this builds emails for you, the email aliases. So I'm going to say we want to use humana.com because that's probably the alias that they have set up for their email. And then once this is created, it's basically creating a tab-separated CSV file. And I'll pull it up and I can show you real quick exactly what we were talking about as far as how it shows who's there, where they're at, what their title is, those types of things. It does take a little bit because it's a large amount, but you can do this for any organization. I haven't had one that hasn't shown up yet. I don't know if you have. Okay, so now we're basically, it created that file. Go ahead and open it up here. So here's our list. Let me go ahead and filter that. And so you can see here we've got, the name of the person. It parses all this for you to try to keep it clean, what department they're in. And like I said, we'll go through here and we'll take out IT and IS for the most part, unless the customer tells us they want it specifically in there. And then you can see here the different cities and also the email aliases that I created. It does first initial last name, which is usually the common standard. It also does first name, last name. But there are definitely sites like, I think Google, you get to choose whatever you want. But the cool thing is usually the backend exchange servers have aliases anyway, right? So if your your email is awk@google.com and you work at Google, that might also be an Milam at google.com that exists to keep it clean and easy.
Let's see. That's yours.
So once we have our list created from there, what I like to do is I like to send out a BS email from Jim Smith at Gmail, and I just basically make things up, right? Like this one is, hey, it's Sylvia's 60th birthday party. And I've also used wedding and engagement announcements and all different types of things. And what we're doing is we're probing the organization to see, which emails are actually valid. And we've had a lot of organizations tell us that, hey, if it's not a valid email, it dropped. We've had Microsoft come in and configure our Exchange server. Yeah, no, it still was giving us notifications back. But the cool thing about this is, especially during summer, Christmas, or any other holidays, is you get a lot of nice bounce backs for out of office. And it says, hey, I'm on vacation, but you can contact so-and-so. And then we look and say, well, we don't have so-and-so in our list, but we do now. And also we get things like phone numbers, valid phone numbers, maybe for the help desk, which we can also include in our spear phishing email. One of the coolest things we got lately was their email disclaimer in all their language. That was at the bottom of one of the emails that got sent back to us. So we just copied and pasted that into our spear phishing email. Everything adds to the legitimacy of that email. And also, if you can put valid phone numbers and different things in there, people are going to go like, oh, that is a valid extension. I know that's the help desk's phone number. So everything that we can do to add to its validity, we try to do.
All right, so here's the most important part of the whole thing is creating the scenario, right? Because we want to have a scenario that makes sense with the organization that we're targeting, right? So the very first thing that we do is we choose a domain, and we register that domain. We like to use GoDaddy, and we'll tell you why in a second. We like to register that domain and get a real email account. The reason is that there's a lot of like tools and scripts out there that do email phishing and all that kind of stuff, but those are all caught by spam filters. You know, they're onto that. No spam filter is going to let an email sent by route through. You know, never going to happen. So what we did in an effort to get around that, we figured out what the main thing is that they're looking for, and the main thing is that email appliances look for is reverse DNS. So if reverse DNS isn't set up, it'll drop the email automatically. So one of the things that we love about GoDaddy is that it gives you one free webmail account when you register a domain. So that's really
all we need is one.
Right. That's really nice of them. So that's the first thing that we do. We like to use, you know, there's a million ways to register the domain. You can misspell the client name. You can do all kinds of things. We just like to do client name - portal because it's been working for years, and it's probably going to continue to work after this talk, which will be scary. But that's what we like to do, and we'll show you that. But there's a million ways you can register the domain. Some scenarios that we like to use. We like to use this open enrollment scenario, basically preying on people for their 401k plans or their health benefits.
And that never gets approved, by the way. HR always puts a squash on that one.
Yeah, we never get this.
It's too real.
We never get that one approved. We're still trying, though.
Yeah.
An old one that we used to use that doesn't really work anymore was the work from home survey. Was a great one. You know, we're starting a pilot program. We're only taking 50 people. Please do not forward this to anyone else.
Which
you know,
then gets forwarded.
Register in this site, and you can work from home on Fridays or something like that. That used to work, but it's not working all that much anymore. We like to use the OWA upgrade. We use this when the client wants a bad fish, what we call a bad fish. Sometimes they want something that's unrealistic, so they can get a baseline of where their clients are. They don't really want success. And this is modeled after the big giant OWA upgrade fish that happened on the internet a couple of years ago and got tons and tons of people. So we have one modeled after that that has, you know, misspelled words and all this stuff on it. And so we use that sometimes. And our very favorite, which is the one that we're going to demo here, is the security report. This works everywhere because every company has security, and everybody likes to hear about other people getting in trouble. And so we have this email that we'll show you in a little bit that basically says that we just did a security audit. Some people weren't following the protocols. You know, some people got in trouble. Some people got blah, blah, blah. You know, download this report and you can read it, you know, and we got all, we'll go over the email. It's, but it's pretty convincing, and just, this works 100% of the time. I've never had it not work. And we've done this a lot. So basically, these are my 5 big points about creating the phishing email. And the thing is that we're on the offensive. You know, we do pen testing, and we're talking about all this on the offensive. But if you're on the defensive, this stuff is just as important, because these are the 5 points you can take back to your users and say, these are the things to look for in a phishing email, right? So the subject line has to be catchy, right? Because if the subject line of the email isn't catchy, no one's going to open it, right? It's got to be easy to read. It can't be complicated like some PhD professor at Harvard wrote it. It's got to be a normal email. It should look legitimate, right? So like Eric was talking about, it should have the footer from the company. It should have the phone number. It should all be spelled correctly. Grammar should be right. If I'm sending out a corporate email to everybody in my corporation, I'm going to spell and grammar check it like 8 times so I don't look like an idiot. And so an email should look like that. And then obviously you have to give users a reason to click on the link. You know, there's going to be some type of link to either malware, a web portal, some type of thing. So you have to entice them to click on it. And then the most important thing, it has to fit the organization. You would not send an email, you know, about open enrollment benefits, for example, to a company that has 90% part-time employees, right? Because they don't even have insurance. So that wouldn't make sense. So you have to make sure that it fits the business unit. And this is where all that preliminary research goes in to, you know, when we do a fish like this, I'm reading everything about the company. I'm reading all their websites. I'm figuring out what they do. You know, I'm figuring out how they make money, because that's what I want to attack. You know, I'm not attacking their AD server. I mean, that's cool and all to get domain admin, but what I'm really after is what they make money off of. Where's the profit? Because that's what a real attacker is after.
Yeah, attackers don't care about domain admin. They don't care about taking down servers. What they want is they want to steal. So
I'll talk about our email.
yeah. So this is our actual phishing email. Then we created this for this scenario, but it's exactly the same as what we would use. You'll notice here at the top, it comes from the information security and assurance. And one thing you can point out here, it's infosec@humana-portal.com. So that's the domain that we bought. That should be one of the things that the user should see, that it's not really coming from an internal email. Of course, we've got it bolded here so we know it's important because it's from the Office of Information Security Insurance. And as Martin was saying, basically, this just states, hey, as you guys all know, security is an important aspect of our business, and keeping data secure is important. So we did a security audit, and here are the findings. And it basically entices them to click on this link. And one of the things too is we don't obscure our links when they hover over that, because that's one of the things that's taught to users, right? We'll look at the link and make sure it's going to the right place. That's the actual link that we use. That's the link that we embed, so as not to arouse suspicion. So basically what we're doing here is we're trying to give the users a reason to click, build trust within there. We've got our information security and assurance. This is the actual address of the site. This is the actual phone number. Like I said, if we can find a help desk phone number or something like that, we'll use that instead. We never use a person's name, a legitimate person's name within the company, because we don't know who it's going to, and if they're going to call that person up and be like, hey, did you send this email, or forward it to them and say, hey, did you send this email? Unless, of course, the customer specifically asks us to do something like that, then we will. This is basically, this Humana logo was a quick search on Google for logos, Humana, found it on the images page, found one that fit, found one that looked good. And the thing that you can't see at the bottom here, but we'll show it in our other email when we actually bring it up, is the footer, the legal disclaimer that we were talking about. It's got nice language in there. Again, it's just all these little things that actually build trust, things that corporations tell their users to look for. We've tried to add everything that we can to these emails.
All right, so the next important part is choosing the attack vector. By the way, none of this stuff is new. It's not revolutionary. It's all been done before. We just have looked at some details and perfected the task. All this is old school stuff. The scary part is that it's still working, unfortunately. So. Choosing the attack vector is important. Obviously, we got infected PDFs. I mean, Adobe has a 0-day every week. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Word documents with macros. I mean, who blindly enables Word documents with macros? I know no one's going to raise their hand, but anyway, so, credential harvesting, because a lot of times if we look at your internet presence and you don't have two-factor auth on your VPNs, we won't even worry about all this other stuff. We'll just try to get some credentials with a fake OWA page or something like that, because that's all we need. Obviously, malicious EXEs, and our favorite is the Java applet. Once again, not new, not revolutionary, but still working.
One thing too, those first two, one of the things about this talk is, like we said, beyond user awareness, because at least those first two, there's people paid in the organization to do nothing but open PDFs all day. HR, legal, they're opening them up all day. So we might have a different, 2 or 3 different attacks depending on who the email is going to. If we can separate it out and send a certain attack to HR, we'll do that, and it'll be the PDF maybe instead of going to the website.
I can't tell you how many times I've just sent my resume to an HR department. They open it right up. All right, so is this yours? I don't remember.
So basically, right, creating the website. Again, what we're looking for is building trust within the users. So you can clone a portal page with something like SET, the social engineering toolkit, or you can build a custom site. I do a mix of both so that we can have both credential harvesting and 2 or 3 different payloads on all embedded within the site. But basically, again, what you're looking for is you're looking for the color schemes, you're looking for their language. We talked about searching Google for the logo images, making sure that it's correct. A lot of times, too, you might have to do a little bit more searching for their actual portal pages, because the image that they use for the customer is usually different than the image that they use for their internal staff. You want to mimic the organization's favicon, right? That little thing that's up in the top of the different tabs. I mean, that doesn't sound like much, but if you can throw that up there, it's just another level of trust that gets built. use language from the real website. We often look for different security statements, that things are being monitored, those types of things. We'll copy and paste it straight out of there, and we'll use that. One thing that I really like to do is change the who is info. So the cool thing about GoDaddy,
I'll show that while you're talking about it. Oh.
I think it's on the next. So the cool thing about GoDaddy is you can change your who is information on the fly. And all you got to do is check a box that says, yeah, of course I've got permission. They don't call them, they don't verify it, they don't do anything. So Martin's going to bring up the actual Humana. He's going to bring up our portal.
Where did it go? Oh.
Okay. So here's changing the who is data. Basically all I did was I went out and did whoishumana.com, and it gives me all the contact information that I need, the address, all that stuff. So I just went out to GoDaddy, I went into our domain page and said, yeah, I certify that this organization is under my purview, and here's all the information. First name, last name, domain admin. I just mimic it straight out of there. The only thing that I do different is at the bottom it says email addresses. I take something that they put on there, like theirs is domain admin. I just add an S to the end, right? And it looks, people aren't normally going to catch that. So
just so you know, here's the real who is that's out there right now.
Whoa.
Oh, I did. Oh,
human portal.
Good catch. Sorry, I get nervous up here. All right, so you can see that our evil domain is legitimately registered to Humana Incorporated at whatever their address is. No problem. So just in case you have users that check that.
And then, yeah, so the only other thing is if you actually look at the humana.com, right, it's exactly the same. The one thing that's different that we do sometimes as well is we register on GoDaddy, but sometimes we'll actually look and see where they're registering their domains. And then we'll actually register at that site. And then it looks 100% legit to most people, you know, from the naked eye.
All right, so next thing you got to do is choose your payload. I'm kind of hurried up real quick. Everybody here has heard of Metasploit. Everybody knows it has payloads in it. Metasploit is the best tool around for this type of thing. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We like to use Meterpreter. We basically spend all of our time making Metasploit payloads bypass AV, which is actually not difficult. But
and we're talking about the framework too, no?
So I guess we don't spend a lot of time on it, but some. A couple of things that are important about payloads when you're doing this type of thing, though, is what type of connection are you going to get back in the organization? TCP obviously just uses whatever port, but it gets popped all the time nowadays. Also, there's egress filtering, proxies, and all that kind of thing. So we don't use that anymore very often. HTTP and HTTPS works every single time because once it infects a computer, it actually uses the proxy information in that computer to bypass the proxy and tunnel the reverse shell out. Plus, HTTPS, as everybody knows, is a binary stream. So unless you have some type of device that's doing deep packet inspection, there's no way you're going to catch the malware tunneling out. The only other one we use when we're in a pinch, when we know there's really tight egress filtering on the way out, is reverse TCP all ports, which basically starts at port number 1 and it tries every single port until it gets out. And you'd be surprised. People think they have their network all sewed up tight, but there's something that gets out somewhere. You know, somebody opened some, you know, RPC port way up in the 6,000s or something that gets out. And then defeating AV, obviously back to what I was talking about, researching the company. We want to find out what kind of AV the company has. It's really easy. You go to LinkedIn and you look up the company's job postings and you look for, I need a semantic expert. Oh, awesome. You know, think about when you make a job posting because you want somebody that can specifically work on what you have, right? So I need an expert in OWA Exchange 2010 or whatever. Now I know what kind of mail server you're running. I need an expert in McAfee, you know, deployments. Now I know I'm up against McAfee AV. So So another thing to think about putting your information out on the internet. The other thing that we do is obviously we have custom packers, the old binary obfuscation. Another thing that we do is we digitally sign all our binaries, and we digitally sign our Java applet, which we're getting ready to show you. We have our own certs, we got a legit company, we're good to go. You can actually buy a company for a couple $100 in an LLC. You could get the certificates from GoDaddy for another couple $100. So you can be totally legit on the internet, you know, for $500-600, no problem.
And my digital signed binary, it was filled out something online. It was one phone call from GoDaddy. They asked me 3 questions, and boom, I had a digital cert.
Seems like we skipped something.
We did.
So let's look at our website. It actually is centered and looks legit. It's the resolution on this screen that's pushing it off to the side, but this is our Humana website that we created. Basically, we cloned one of their portals. We got the employee login with the lock, so it's secure.
That's right. The lock makes it secure. Remember that.
We got the security notice. We got the whole 9 yards. This will look legit to Humana people, right? So
and it says secure at the top too. So we've got secure and the company name, so we're good. And a lock. So
we took our Humana portal and we added a subdomain of secure because everybody likes that word. I know it sounds stupid, but it works. Secure.
Yeah, you guys might be thinking I'm not going to click on it, but think about all the people next to you or the people at the water cooler who are like, you know.
The other thing that we got is if you have trouble logging in, we got a help desk.
Yeah, you can just chat live with the help desk. Just run this binary.
And all you got to do is, I don't know if you can see there at the bottom, but all you got to do is install help desk exe right down here.
That's it. And it tells you right there.
And we'll help you out with logging in.
And the cool thing about this is we were talking about the digital signed binaries is in Firefox, the newer Firefox and IE9, in order for a user to run an executable, now they've got to jump through like 5 or 6 hoops if they download something off the internet, especially if it's an exe and it's not signed. When we digitally sign our stuff, you get the nice green checkbox. It goes right there and says this is a trusted source. They've got, you know, this keychain, so they're good to go.
All right, so now we're going to show you our attack. We're going to kind of put it all together. There was one more slide in there that I must have deleted on accident, but I'm just going to we're just going to show it here. So basically, this is our website.
Do you have the listener up?
I'm getting ready to. So basically, all we do is start up a plain old Metasploit listener. Hopefully the